Good morning and welcome to class. If you have props available to you, maybe grab a blanket and a couple of blocks. If you don't, that's okay too. If you do decide to use a blanket or if you have one available, let's fold it into a square and place it in the center of our mats. Whenever you feel comfortable, we'll come to a tabletop type shape, stacking shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees. Play with the idea of tucking and untucking the toes as we rock forward and back. And then we'll eventually invite the hips down towards the heels, finding ourselves in a hero's pose. If this causes any discomfort or pain in or around the joints, please grab that block or some other support you're comfortable resting your weight upon, placing it between the feet. You'll rest your sitting bones directly on top. Again, if you have more than one block or prop, feel free to stack them as high as you need to find a comfortable seat here to reduce completely any pain that may be generating in or around your joints. Once you have your preferred seat set up, maybe take the time to move the calves towards the outside of your legs. Play with the idea of guiding the shoulders back until they hover over your hips, taking your head back in space until it hovers over your shoulders. Maybe taking a few shoulder shrugs up and then back and down your spine. And moving in the opposite direction, taking your shoulders up and then forward towards your heart. Once you've warmed the shoulders and neck just a bit, you're invited to blink your eyes closed. With closed eyes, maybe start to observe your breath, whether it's for the first time or a continued practice. Doing as much as you can to not change your current pace, your current depth, your current rhythm. Simply allowing yourself to witness the fullness of each inhale and the release of each exhale. Paying close attention to what rises as you breathe in, what falls as you breathe out. Noticing where aches, pains, or discomforts may be residing or concentrating in this moment. And acknowledging the parts of you that feel neutral, spacious, expansive. May continue this practice of observation or set an intention for your practice whenever you see fit. No matter what you choose, we'll breathe here for another 3. One more breath. If your eyes are closed, you may keep them closed or blink them open. Next time you breathe out, simply draw the chin towards your chest, inviting a gentle stretch along the back of the neck. If you feel that you want a little more, take your fingertips to rest beside you and actively move your shoulders away from the face. Taking just 2 more breaths here in this gentle neck and shoulder stretch, breathing through whatever is present. The next time you breathe in, lift your gaze, maybe blinking your eyes open if they're closed. We'll walk our hands forward, returning to that tabletop shape. Allowing that blanket to cushion your knees. You may keep it there as long as you desire, maybe moving that block out of the way. Tuck all of your toes under, and let's rock backward and forward once again, stretching into the toes and feet as we take the hips towards our heels on an exhale. Then maybe stretching into forearms, wrists, and hands as we guide the shoulders past the fingertips. Continuing between these 2 shapes with the breath. Exhaling to lower hips towards the heels. And inhaling to guide the shoulders beyond the fingertips. Again, remaining with your breath. We'll stay for a few more cycles here. Add any additional movement that moves you closer towards your intention, your goal, your purpose for practice. And if you try something out and you notice that it doesn't serve you, it does not make sense, give yourself permission to let that go. Let's all meet in a neutral tabletop type shape. The next time you breathe in, extend your right leg long, resting the toes and the balls of your feet on the mat. We'll find a calf stretch, however makes the most sense for our energy this morning. Some of us may gently rock forward and back, stretching and releasing. Some of us may keep an active, steady stretch by pressing down through the heel. Some of us may want an even more active stretch by tucking our left toes under, lifting hips up and back, and inviting our gaze towards the toes. No matter how active you decide to stretch into your calf, we'll breathe here for another 2. One more cycle of breath. The next time you breathe in, we'll lift that right leg up in line with the hip. Flexing the toes towards your face, we'll exhale to pull the knee towards our heart. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, knee towards your right elbow. Inhale, re-extend. One more time like that. Exhale, knee to heart. Inhale. Exhale, knee to right elbow. Inhale. The next time you breathe out, bend into that right knee so that the bottom of your foot faces the sky. The toes are still flexing down. Then from here, we'll start to draw some big, broad circles through our right hip joint. Keeping that knee bent in the same shape, we imagine that we're drawing a full circle with our kneecap. Taking 2 more breaths in whichever direction you've chosen first, acknowledging where the heat is building. In this moment, I feel a lot of heat in my left quad, ironically, changing directions if you haven't already. So as you pay attention to which parts of you are warming faster than the others, maybe make that connection. Does that make sense? Is that part of me working harder? And how can I more evenly distribute that heat? We'll all meet with that foot pointing, facing up towards the sky once again. Unbend that right leg, re-extend it long. Exhale, pull the knee towards your heart. And this time we'll step the foot between our hands. Once you do, walk your hands to frame your foot. You can either rest on your fingerprints or grab those blocks if you're using them for your practice. We'll take a few breaths here to allow that left hip to catch up, to adjust to our desired shape here. Taking a few more breaths here, maybe even placing that hand at the hip. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is there any physical feedback that you can notice in resting your hand at the hip crease? Returning both hands to frame your foot, we'll lift our gaze as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, we'll straighten through that right leg any amount. You get to decide. One more time, breathe in, bend your knee. And breathe out, straighten your leg. All right, we'll add some movement this time. Breathe in, bend your knee. This time we'll tuck the left toes under, and on the breath out, we'll lift that knee away from the earth. On the breath in, we lower that knee back down. And on our next breath out, we'll straighten through that right leg. Moving between those shapes, breathe in, bend your right knee. And breathe out, lift that left leg, straighten it as much as you can. We inhale to return that left knee to the earth. And our next exhale straightens that right leg. 2 more times like that. Move at a pace that makes sense for you. And always make an effort to match your movement to your breath. Allowing that movement to start as your breath begins and to finish as your breath ends. All right, the next time that right knee is bent and that left leg is straight and extended, we'll pause here. Taking a few more breaths, give yourself permission to press the hips forward and release any amount. Once again, encouraging this part of our bodies to catch up, to settle, to find ease in this posture that we're requesting of it. We'll eventually press down through the left hand and invite that right hand either to the top of our thigh or reach all the way up. If the hand rests at the thigh, our goal will be to open through that right shoulder and keep the gaze lifted. And we'll find a rotation through the shoulder only. And if that arm is lifted, we'll find some big, broad shoulder rotations. So whether you're moving the entire arm or rotating through the shoulder, we'll breathe here for another 2. One more breath. Changing the direction of your rotation. Again, allowing your breath to be your guide. Whether your arm is fully extending or you're just rolling through that shoulder joint. One more breath here. We'll exhale that right palm back down to frame the foot. Take a big breath in, lift your gaze. As you breathe out, we'll take those arms in airplane, palms face up, squeeze into your hips. As you breathe in, reach your arms overhead for our first high lunge. Check in with the distance between your feet. If it doesn't make sense, shorten. If you need more space in your hips, take that foot to the left side of your mat. Inviting that knee to hover over your ankle, but it's not necessary. With your thumbs, guide your tailbone down. Encourage a neutral tailbone. The next time you breathe in, reach your arms back up and overhead. As you breathe out, we'll step the left foot to meet the right, finding our Tadasana mountain pose. Feet underneath the hips, shoulders back and down the spine, fingertips reaching down, crown reaching up. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Turn the backs of your hands to face forward. The next time you breathe in, we'll lift the heels and our arms at the same time. And our goal is that when our arms reach all the way up and overhead, we reach our limit with how much we can lift those heels. And as we exhale, we'll slowly release those arms back down to frame the body and return the heels towards the mat, hopefully at the same time. Continuing with the breath, inhale, arms up, heels up high. Maybe we reach our limits at the same time. And we exhale, arms down, heels down. 3 more times with your breath. Taking it slow, embracing any wobble, any shake. Observing how easy or challenging this may be in the moment. The next time those heels are lifted and arms are overhead, we'll pause here, holding for 3. Stay for 2. One more breath. Exhale, slowly lower those heels towards the earth. We'll take our arms in airplane and dip those hips down, finding an awkward pose. Holding here for 2 more cycles of breath, squeezing everything into center. The next time you breathe in, we'll rise all the way up, tall spine. As you breathe out, you'll bend into the elbows, catching your right elbow. Take another breath in, lengthen. And as you breathe out, gently side bend here. Inhale, return to center. Exhale, side bend. 3 more times. Breathe in to rise. Breathe out to fold. Continuing with your pace. After you've completed this 3 more times, we'll return to center on an inhale. Unbend your elbows, reach your fingertips high. Exhale, fold yourselves forward. Breathe in, lift up halfway. Breathe out, palms to the mat, step back into that tabletop shape. When you arrive in table, we'll flow through a few rounds of cat-cow, walking those hands underneath your shoulders and the knees under your hips. The next time you breathe in, lower your belly, look all the way up. Then while you're looking up, making an effort to point your chin towards the sky, press down through your palms and pull the heels of your hands towards your knees. Allowing that activation to increase the sensations you're already experiencing for 1 more cycle of breath. As you breathe out, tuck your chin, press down through the palms, around your back a lot. This time, press down through the palms so much that you create a space in the center of your hands. The gaze is towards the belly button, the tops of the thighs, the hips. Really exaggerating this movement, we press down through the shins and try to create a sense of lightness. One more breath. Your next inhale, slowly return your spine to neutral. And we'll move on to the second side. And breathe in and extend your left leg long. Start by resting the toes or the balls of your foot on the earth. And then find your most preferred calf stretch, whether that's a pulse, a steady active stretch, or you tuck the right toes under, lift your hips, and make this really active. If you're choosing the last option, really make an effort to release the weight from your head and neck. Gaze towards your toes. No matter where you are, we'll stay for another 2. One more cycle of breath. On our next breath in, let's float that left leg up in line with the hip. Flexing the toes towards your face, we'll exhale knee to heart. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, knee to left elbow. Inhale, kick back. Again, exhale, knee to heart. Inhale. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale. This time we'll bend into the left knee. Bottom of the foot faces the ceiling. Flex the toes down. And from here, we take those big, broad hip rotations once again. Imagining that we're drawing a circle with the kneecap. Observing where heat builds first, where heat builds last. Although I'm warming this hip joint, why is my right quad so warm? Changing the direction of that hip rotation. Play with activating, no matter how slight, the center of your body, the core. All right, one more breath here. We'll pause in that same position we started in, knee bent, bottom of the foot facing up. As you inhale, unbend that left knee. Exhale, pull the knee back towards your heart, and then step it between your hands. Once again, we take these first few moments just to allow that right hip to catch up. And when you're ready, whether fingerprints are on the earth or hands are on blocks, we'll exhale to straighten through that left leg any amount, walking those hands back with you as needed. We'll inhale to bend into that left knee. One more time before adding on. Exhale, extend through your leg. Inhale, bend into your knee. This time we'll exhale to tuck the right toes under and extend that right leg, lifting the knee away from the earth any amount. We inhale to return that knee back down. On the next breath out, we straighten through the left leg. Good. Inhale, bend into that left knee. Exhale, lift that right leg. Inhale, knee returns down to the earth. Exhale, left leg straightens. 2 more times on your own. The next time that left knee is bent and that right leg is extended, we'll pause here. Again, taking a few breaths just to settle into this new shape. Give yourself permission to release and press those hips forward as needed. Then we'll eventually inhale the left hand either to the top of our thigh or reach those fingertips all the way up. And again, if you're choosing to leave your hand at the thigh, we can still rotate through the shoulder joint. Taking a big breath in with our gaze lifted, start your rotations, whether you're rotating through the full arm or just the shoulder. Choose the option that makes the most sense for you. Maybe you choose both. Maybe you start with a one on one side and play with the other on the other side. Change the direction of whatever rotation you're in right now. The next time you breathe out, return that left hand back down to the earth. Breathe in, lift your gaze forward. Squeeze everything in towards center. Take your arms in airplane the next time you exhale. On your next breath in, rise all the way up to our first high lunge on this side. Once again, if this distance between your feet feels too wide, too unstable, either shorten the distance between the heel and the toes, If you need more space in your hips, take that right foot towards the right edge of your mat. With your thumbs, we guide that tailbone down once again, inviting a neutral hip. And when you're ready, we'll inhale, arms overhead. On your exhale, step the right foot to meet the left. We find our second Tadasana mountain pose. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Moving back into that standing balancing sequence. Breathe in, lift your arms, lift your heels. Maybe they rise at the highest point at the same time. Breathe out, lower your arms, lower your heels. Maybe they return to the starting position at the same time. Again, breathe in, lift up. Breathe out, lower down. 3 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in. And breathe out. Last time. Inhale. And then we'll pause here. Turn your palms to face forward. Gently guide your hips forward. Tuck the tailbone down. Press down through the balls of your feet. One more big breath in. Reach your fingers high. As you breathe out, take your arms to frame your body. Lower your heels towards the mat. Then invite your hips a little lower as we find that awkward pose once again. Squeezing everything in towards center. Slightly tuck your chin. One more big breath in and out. The next time you breathe in, rise all the way up to stand. This time we'll breathe out, catching opposite elbows. Gently pulling on the left elbow this time. We'll take a big breath in, lengthen. As you breathe out, we'll side bend. Inhale, rise. Exhale, side bend. 3 more times. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. Inhale to center. Exhale to fold. Return yourself to center as you breathe in. Unbend your elbows. Reach your arms up high. Exhale, fold yourselves forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, palm to the mat. Step back into that tabletop shape one more time. And from here, we'll invite the knees towards the wide edges of the mat, big toes to touch. Lower your hips towards your heels and walk your fingertips towards the top of your mat. Tuck your chin and bow your head. Take 3 big breaths here. After your 3rd big breath here, now let your gaze on an inhale between your thumbs. Press up onto every fingerprint, tent into your hands. The next time you breathe out, imagine you could touch your right armpit towards the earth, and we'll look over that left arm. Spending a few breaths here to stretch into that right shoulder, maybe into the obliques, maybe into the upper arm. 1 more full cycle of breath here. Slowly return everything back to center. Rest your forehead down. Big breath in. Big breath out. Lift your gaze between your hands again. This time we invite that left armpit towards the mat. Look over your right arm. Noticing what's being stretched, what's being strengthened. Simply noticing where you feel and experience sensation for 1 more cycle of breath. Slowly returning everything to center. Plant your palms, bow your head. Big breath in. Big breath out. Next time you inhale, lift your gaze. Roll back into that tabletop shape. Walk your knees underneath your hips. The next time you breathe in, lower your belly, look up, cow pose. And breathe out, round your back into cat pose. 2 more times on your own. After your 3rd full round of cat exhale, let's meet in a neutral table once again. Tucking our toes under, we'll lift our hips up and back, finding our first down dog. How ironic that the first down dog actually has dogs on the mat. Pedal through your feet, shake your head, find any movement that you feel is necessary. 2 more cycles of breath here. After your second breath out, return those knees to the mat. This time, knees touch and big toes touch. Inviting your hips towards your heels once again. This time, arms will frame the body. As we curl into ourselves, we invite the forehead towards the mat. While we're here, take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. 2 more times like that with the intention of filling and emptying the ribs completely. After your second breath out, slowly lift your gaze. We'll rise all the way up to a seat. And then find ourselves on our bottoms. If you're using a blanket and your fur baby hasn't taken it over like mine has, feel free to find a seat right on top. And we'll extend the legs along in front of us. Take your hands to frame your body or behind you for any amount of support. And then with the legs pretty relaxed, let's just flex and point the toes a few times, really exaggerating the movement. When we point the toes, we want to feel a stretch all the way on the tops of our feet, maybe into the shins. And as we flex the toes, we want to feel a stretch into the backs of the legs, the calves, and maybe into the backs of the knees. Just do that a few more times on your own, really exaggerating the movement, paying attention to any feedback, whether audible, physical, or otherwise. Let's all pause with those toes flexing towards our face. And with them actively flexed, we're kicking through the heels. Those legs are so active that the heels may want to float up. Spread every toe as wide as you can. And if you start to get a cramp in any part of your foot, give yourself permission to release and then jump back in if that makes sense, or to release and just let that go. One more breath here for those of us with the toes still spread really wide and flexing towards the face. We'll let go of all of that. Then into your left knee, ground the foot. And from here, we'll exhale to open that knee towards the left. We'll inhale to return it back to center. Exhale, open. Inhale, return. Let's do that 3 more times. After your third breath out, we'll leave that left knee open. We'll pause here for a few moments, just acknowledging what sensation is present in that left hip joint, hip crease. Make an effort to lengthen your spine and notice what effect that has on the sensations you're currently experiencing. Activate that right leg or keep it relaxed if that makes more sense. We'll breathe here for another 2. One more cycle here. The next time you breathe in, we'll release whatever activation we have in the foot and legs. If you like, you can readjust that left foot, bringing it closer to the inner thigh. And we'll eventually take that right leg as wide as we comfortably can. We don't want pain. A little discomfort is okay. And then we'll reactivate that right leg. Flex the toes, kick through the heel, and imagine you can flatten that right knee towards the earth. Plant that right palm to the mat, maybe near or next to your right knee. Next time you breathe in, reach your left arm up and overhead. Just pausing here, noticing, does this increase any sensation in that right leg? Does it increase any sensation in the left side of the body? On your next breath in, reach those fingertips high, lengthen. As you breathe out, ground through that left hip. 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, ground. Last time, breathe in, breathe out. All right, one more time before we fold, reach those fingers high. The next time you breathe out, slowly fold towards that extended leg. You have options here. You can either keep this same steady static stretch. If you resonate with releasing and then re-entering, do that at any time. Allow your inhale to lift you up and out any amount. Allow your exhale to return you to that stretch. Whether you're choosing to lift and lower, hang out, or maybe create more space in the front body by rolling the shoulder back, we'll breathe here for another 3. Keep that right leg active. We're here for 2. One more breath. And inhale, slowly rise back to a tall spine. Exhale, lower that left hand down. We'll slide the left hand under the knee, pressing it up. And we'll step that left foot over the right leg. Hug that knee as much as you can. Big breath in, lengthen from the heart space. As you breathe out, gaze over your left shoulder. 2 more times, breathe in, lengthen. Breathe out, gaze left. And one more time, inhale, exhale. Either choosing to stay here or releasing your left hand behind the hip to increase your twist. We'll stay for just another 3. After your 3rd breath out, allow your inhale to return you to center, squaring shoulders forward. And as you exhale, we'll slowly lower all the way down to the back, pulling that left knee with you towards your heart. Hug that knee as close to your chest as you can get it, looking for an increase of a stretch on the outside of the thigh. Flexing those left toes towards your face. We'll take a big breath in and a big breath out. The next time you inhale, we'll engage that entire right leg from the heel to the hip. And then we'll lift that leg all the way up, bottom of the foot, facing the sky. Allow that right leg to make contact with the left. And the more we move both of those legs towards the heart, the more that sensation, that stretch in the outer thigh increases. You may choose to leave your leg extended or bend into your knee, making an effort not to shift or change too much more, even if we know that we want to move towards our preferred variation of figure 4. Let's breathe through any discomfort, any newness, any familiarity that we're experiencing in this moment for 2 more cycles of breath. After your 2nd breath out, if there's a desire to adjust this shape, you may do so as we stay here for 3 more cycles of breath. After your 3rd breath out, we'll slowly start to hug that left knee towards the left armpit. Release that right foot to the earth, either keeping that knee bent or extending the leg long as you move the heel towards the top of your mat. With your left hand, we'll guide the hip open, stretching into the hip in a different way this time, with an option to flex or point the toes, but making it active to protect the joint. We'll breathe here together, starting by exhaling everything away. Big breath in together. Big breath out together. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, breath in. Breath out. Allow your next inhale to return that left knee to center. And then release that leg long on the mat. We'll rest in Shavasana between, balancing out our sides. Since this is our first time in this shape for this practice, Give yourself permission to get really heavy, to connect to any sensations of release, of relaxation, of stillness. Allow your body to show up to express in its most authentic way in the next 3 cycles of breath. And after your 3rd breath out, you'll slowly make your way back to a seat, however you'd like to get there. Your energy is a little more calm, maybe bending into the knees, rolling to one side or the other, pressing yourself up. And if your energy is a little more active or high, maybe drawing the knees towards your heart and rocking and rolling to find a seat. No matter how you get there, we'll re-extend those legs long once again. And then we'll play with flexing and pointing those toes just as we did the first time around. Maybe noticing any differences, any similarities, things that don't ever seem to change no matter how much work we do. We'll eventually pause with the toes pointing away this time. And then we'll spread those toes as much as we can, just as we did the first time around. Noticing which one felt easier, which one felt more pleasurable, which one feels like more work, whether it's physical or energetic. Holding here for just another 2. One more breath. Releasing all that, we'll bend into the right knee this time, grounding the foot. Allow your hands to frame you to add support. And as we exhale, we'll open that knee towards the right. We'll inhale to lift it back up, ground the foot. Again, open as you exhale. Close as you inhale. 3 more times. Breathe out. Breathe in. Exhale. Inhale. Last time, we'll breathe out and let that leg stay here. Taking the time to acknowledge, to notice these different sensations in the hip. Maybe playing with the idea of lengthening the spine and activating that left leg. We'll breathe here for another 2. One more full cycle of breath. Again, you may leave your leg exactly as it is or reposition that right foot, drawing it a little closer towards the thigh. And then we'll eventually open that left leg as much as we comfortably can. So much that we can activate that left leg, flexing the toes and inviting the knee down towards the mat. Once you have all that in place, take that left hand to rest beside that left knee. And as you breathe in, reach your right arm overhead. All right, so the next time you inhale, reach your fingertips high, lengthen through the side body. As you exhale, ground down through that right hip. 2 more times, inhale, reach up. Exhale, ground down. Last time, breathe in and out. You breathe in one more time to prepare. As you breathe out, slowly fold towards your extended leg. Same options are available to you here. You can either lower as you exhale and lift yourself up and out of that as you inhale. You can stay folding and allowing each breath out to take you a little lower. Or you can play with creating space while you stretch and strengthen by rolling that right shoulder back and open. No matter what you decide, stay with your breath. And you play with the idea of lifting your gaze periodically, if not keeping it lifted the entire time. We're here for another 2. One more big breath here. Ride your next inhale to a tall spine. Exhale, lower that right hand down. We'll eventually slide that hand underneath the right knee, pressing it back up to ground the foot. When you're ready, we'll step that right foot over the left leg and hug that right knee as close as we can towards the heart. That left leg remains active the entire time. Big breath in, lengthen from the heart. Big breath out, gaze over your right shoulder. 2 more times like that. Big breath in, lengthen. And big breath out, look. Last time, inhale. Exhale. If the sensations you're experiencing now are sufficient, stay here. If you'd like to explore a little more, release that right hand behind you, opening through the shoulder, allowing you to get a little bit more depth in your twist. We'll have 3 more cycles of breath no matter what you've chosen. After your third breath out, your inhale will return you back to center, hips and shoulders squared forward. And then from here, we'll hug that right knee towards our heart as we lower all the way back down to our backs. Hugging that knee as close as we can to the heart, we look for the stretch in the outer thigh, the outer glute. Somewhere in that right leg, as long as it's not pain or discomfort in the joints. Take a big breath in here and a big breath out. Activate both feet. Engage that left leg from your hip to your heel. The next time you breathe in, lift that leg as high as you can, at least until the bottom of the foot points towards the sky. And keeping in mind that the closer we draw both legs towards our heart, the more sensations we will experience. You may keep that left leg extended long or bend into your knee at any time. Again, resisting any effort, any urge to move into a figure 4, any other more familiar shape. 1 more cycle of breath. And if you really, really want to change, shift, or find some other variation of this hip stretch, you may do so now. We have 3 more cycles of breath to work with this part of ourselves. After your third breath out, we'll hug that right knee towards the right armpit and ground that left foot on the mat. And if you don't prefer to keep that knee bent, you can extend the leg and invite the heel towards the top of your mat. With your right hand, we'll open the knee, the hip towards the right side. Really activating the toes on that foot. We'll take a big breath in together and a big breath out together. 2 more times. Last breath in and out. The next time you breathe in, return that knee to center. And then this time we'll ground that right foot on the mat, then into your left knee, left foot meets. Make sure the heels are close enough to you that you can graze them with your fingerprints. And we'll bring the awareness to the back body momentarily, even if we have the blanket supporting us. If there's a gap or a space between your lower back and that blanket or the mat, please tuck your tailbone under. And once that entire back body is in contact with the earth, fully supported from the lower back to the shoulder blades, we'll take our arms wide in a cactus shape, palms up. Press down into your feet from the pinky toes to the big toes. Press down through the heels. Press down into the big toe mounds, pinky toe mounds, the inner and outside edges. With all of that contact, the next time you breathe in, press down evenly through both feet and lift your hips. And as you breathe out, slowly lower your hips back down to the earth, 1 bone at a time. 2 more times like that. Breathe in, press down, lift your hips. Breathe out, slowly release 1 bone at a time. Last time, inhale, lift your hips. We'll pause here. No matter how much you've lifted your hips to start, each time we breathe in, You make an effort to lift them even more. Whether it's centimeters, inches, whether there's seemingly no movement at all, allow your effort to be what matters most. We'll breathe here for another 3. We're finding in a way that serves you for 2. Final cycle of breath here. On an exhale, slowly lower your hips back down to the earth, one bone at a time. Take one breath in. On your next breath out, walk your feet to the outer edges of your mat and draw your knees to touch and center. Once again, make sure there's no space between your lower back and the blanket or the earth. And then rest your hands somewhere on your body. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. A few more times like that together. Each time you exhale, try to release a little more tension that's lingering within you. Each time you inhale, invite in a little bit more lightness, a little bit more ease. And as we continue this practice of manifestation by way of the breath, you may notice that we're no longer concerned with all of the physical sensations that we couldn't ignore before. Taking 3 more cycles of breath as we invite in lightness with our inhales and a release on our exhales. After your 3rd breath out, we'll separate the knees, walking the feet back in line with the hips. We'll eventually draw those knees towards the heart, finding a gentle rock left and right. The last posture I'll offer you, either before or in lieu of Shavasana, will be legs extended, either up the wall, up the middle of your mat in space, or resting on a chair, a couch, whatever is nearby and available to you. If your legs are extended, in the middle of your space, give yourself permission to bend your knees as much or as little as you need. And if they're resting on some kind of prop, position your calves either on that chair, on that couch. Really make sure to fully support the back body, the tailbone. No matter how supported or unsupported your legs may be, take a big breath in through your nose and a big breath out of your mouth. 2 more times like that. If the shape of this posture, of any part of this action resonates with you in a way that calls you to spend the rest of your practice here, you are welcome to do so. You already know or have an inkling that you'd prefer the practice of Shavasana. Start to bend into your knees before extending your legs long on the mat. Allowing your arms to frame your body, you may roll that blanket up and place it behind the knees for support. Maybe bringing it up to support the shoulders and neck, or drawing it behind the sacrum and the lower back. No matter what you choose, invite in some stillness. Invite in the energy of contentment. Invite in the energy of peace. As you encourage the thoughts to quiet, as you encourage your physical body to soften, as you invite yourself to just to be here without the need to do. And now whatever accompanies all of that, to embody you fully and completely. Without changing anything, simply observe. Observe within your physical, spiritual, energetic, and emotional bodies the parts of you that are in excess, that are overflowing, the parts of you that are deficient, lacking, or missing altogether, the parts of you that are whole, balanced, complete, neutral. If you already know that there's work that you'd like to continue to do while you're here, please be still. Continue your work as long as you need. You feel ready to close. I'll invite you to practice with your next exhale, letting go of one or some of those things that are currently in excess that you do not need. With the breath in, inviting in some things that are deficient or lacking that you could use today. And in that space between your breath, acknowledging the parts of you that are already whole, complete, balanced. You may continue this practice of letting go and inviting in, and practicing gratitude for what is as you slowly and mindfully reawaken your physical body. As you make your way to a seat, continue to fill into your cup those things that you need a little more of. Continue to empty your cup of the things that don't belong or serve you. Continue to practice gratitude for the parts of you that are imbalanced, complete, that you are content with. As you make your way to your preferred closing shape, whether your eyes are open or closed, I'll invite you to place your hands somewhere on yourself, whether a traditional variation or mudra, such as Anjali Mudra. Whether you connect to one of the power centers that runs along the center column of your body, whether you simply choose to rest your hands somewhere that could use a bit more attention. We bow our heads in gratitude, first and always to ourselves, for showing up, for taking the time, for doing the work, and taking steps towards being the change that we wish to see. We bow in gratitude to each other for the contributions we've made and continue to make to these beautiful communities that we are all a part of. We bow in gratitude to the practice. From my heart to your heart, the light that resides and shines within me honors and loves the light that resides and shines within you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me, for allowing me to facilitate your practice. I hope it was what you needed. I hope you're able to leave what you didn't. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, or anything you'd like to see or practice in the future, let me know. It was a pleasure. I'll see you on the mat next time.